Hey YouTube, Paul Oz here once again. Welcome to my new video series on improvisation. We're going to be looking at a pop song or perhaps simpler song, each different video, and how you can apply modal theory as well as technical ability to improvise and make an interesting solo happen over what is typically a pretty easy listening song, man. So, to start off, today we're going to be looking at a song by Michael Jackson called Xscape. And I'm not talking about the overproduced version, personal opinion. I'm talking about the one that's the original version, the way that MJ wanted it to be, I'm assuming. There's one great section in there that's kind of like a bridge or a breakdown almost sounding thing in between choruses, I believe, and we're going to be going through that and looking at what chords are going on underneath, as well as the tempo and the feel of the thing, and then identifying what kind of things we can use from our tool belt of techniques, technical ability kind of stuff, to make it sound really good and really personal. Just as a disclaimer, this video is not for a beginner whatsoever. This is definitely for someone who has studied a bit of theory, someone who knows their major and minor scales, potentially harmonic minor, and has a general knowledge of how modal theory works. So let's dive in, man. So the first thing that I like to do before starting any kind of improvisation is establishing what key the song is in. So what's easiest for me and what I've found is that if I go up chromatically on the lowest string here and find the lowest note in the song on my guitar, from there I just start to build up modes. And I start to ask myself the questions like, for example, what's the feeling of the song, man? Is it a happy kind of song? Is it a minor-y kind of thing? You ask if it's major or minor, and that gives you kind of a reference point. So, meaning to say this, if it's a major sounding song, you've got a few different modes that you can utilize. You've got Ionian, you've got Lydian, you've got Mixolydian, and eventually you'll be able to pinpoint it from those three if it's a major song, right? On the other end of the spectrum, if it's a minor sounding song, you've got yourself the typical natural minor Aeolian, you've got yourself Dorian, you've got Phrygian. But if you really seem to be unable to find this damn modal entry point into discovering the key of this song, obviously it's got to be Locrian, which isn't really used in pop songs, at least not from my experience. Like I was saying, major if it's happy, or minor if it's unhappy. So let's listen to the song for a minute here and kind of discover the key. We've got this kind of steady pulsing going on. We got ourselves a D. And I'm all right with that minor third. So I was correct in guessing that the minor third works there, because I felt like it was a funkier kind of minor-y kind of jam, so I might as well try out what a minor third would sound like. So that's one reference point. Now the second reference point that I used was the 7th. I played a minor 7 instead of the major 7, which would sound like this. Instead of... So I've got myself a minor third and a minor 7. Obviously it's a minor key, but what mode is it? So this is where we're going to be looking for some more information. For example, where is the 2? Is it going to be a natural 2 or a flat 2? That would differentiate us from Aeolian and Dorian to Phrygian. So we're looking for that minor 2 in there to see if it's Phrygian. That'll be the telltale sign, and then from there you can even start to guess if it's actually going to be a Locrian mode that you're dealing with. And we're also looking for where that 6 is. If it's a natural 6, we've got ourselves some Dorian stuff going on. But if it's a minor 6, then we're still kind of right there in natural minor, the most unhappy. So now that I know that we're in minor, let's try this again. I'm going to go through Phrygian. doesn't sound like it fits. Let's try Dorian. Kind of fits, not exactly there yet. I'm gonna guess that this is D minor, the key. So from trying out Phrygian, obviously it didn't work. That minor 2 sound wasn't in this key. As well as trying Dorian didn't work because that 6 has to be minor. Because it sounding major kind of sounded outside of the key and outside of the sound a little bit, and that's definitely tonally interesting, but it's not what we're looking for in this exercise. We're looking for just finding the key, finding out what modes we can use in this song, right? So to continue, now that we know the key is D minor and that the song is minor, this is where things can get kind of interesting. I usually like to pick favorite points of each mode whenever I'm playing a certain kind of phrasing. So in terms of a minor key, I like to play, of course, everyone who doesn't like to play Aeolian. I definitely just added 2 notes in there, so I know that it's not fully Aeolian, alright? And you should too. You should definitely be catching this as well. But it's definitely the bluesy kind of end of things. The other modes that I like to play are actually not all minor. I like to play the top end of Ionian as well as the top end of Dorian, which is definitely minor, but that I like that kind of sound up there, and I kind of get to pretend like I'm a jazz fusion player when I play. But anyway, so what I'm going to try to do here then is now identify what's going on rhythmically. So now we've got the key, we kind of know what modes we want to mess around with. Let's find out what's going on rhythmically to really give our note choices some more weight. So far it's just all D. Smells like just D the whole time. So I've basically just got D in there with a little riff. From that I just extrapolate, play whatever you want, so long as it sounds kind of vocal and it goes in between a few things. Because when you have a really basic rhythm, you have to keep the solo spicy and interesting, which means use a couple of different techniques. I'm going to probably end up using some targeting, maybe just a tiny bit of arpeggiation in this sweepy kind of format, and maybe I'll do some kind of small run here and there. So let's give it a shot. This part of the song starts at about, I don't know, 320, 325, something like that, somewhere around there. You're gonna feel like it builds up. Let me take you 2 bars back here to show you what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did dance around quite a bit there. I played some Aeolian, I went into some Mixolydian and Lydian as well, some Dorian. I went all over the place basically, but I didn't really go beyond here. So now let's try an exercise where I might start in Aeolian, but I only go up beyond the 12th fret, my friends. So now that I've switched to a far more metal sound, we're going to dip into a few of the upper modes here, meaning beyond the 12th fret. We're going to look at some more Locrian, bit of Ionian, top end of Dorian again, but we're going to play it up here. Let's have some fun, man. Let's just play beyond the 12th fret and just give her. I'm going to take it back to the beginning of that breakdown area, and I'll count in as well to let you guys know when I'm actually going to start soloing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, I noodled around through the modes. Maybe I didn't master them as best as I should have beforehand. I hope that wasn't far too complicated for you intermediate players, but basically, if you follow the process of finding out the key, finding out what's going to work for you in terms of what modal stuff will be working, like for me, like I was saying before, the top end of Dorian, Lydian stuff I really enjoy as well, etc., etc. And then you proceed to actually starting to play to it, and you find certain sections, like I have found this section in this Michael Jackson song to solo over. You're going to find that you'll be able to play over most pop songs. It's just a matter of identifying where on the fretboard you're basically playing and kind of going from there. And eventually you'll start to discover the vocal melodies of the song, and that's going to be where it gets quite interesting, because you can start to play off that and even harmonize that with your guitar. It's just a matter of understanding your natural harmonies as well as your modal theories. So for those of you who are not intermediate or advanced players, basically practice your scales. Jesus Christ, man, because you can do so much more once you understand what you're doing on the board. Alright? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine. I hope to do a few more of these in the future, and definitely subscribe if you enjoyed it. I'll try to do a couple of beginning lessons maybe on modal theory itself, but for now this is what I'm going to be doing, this kind of video series stuff in terms of lessons. So thanks again YouTube, and get practicing.